Good morning, everybody.
Good
I'm
morning.
Joanne Bohegan. I'm the Vice Chair for the Board of Directors at the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much for joining us. We know it's a really crazy time for everyone. I have Dan Demers and Mara Curry on with us. As you know, Mara's the heart of the operation and the only member of staff working with us at this point. And Dan serves on the board of directors, and he's been fused to the hip working on behalf of everything that we've needed to do over the last couple of weeks. We wanted to take a few minutes and make sure that we let everyone in and let you know a couple points of housekeeping. We're recording these. If there's any issue with that, please let us know, but we are recording these forums and making them available, or some of them available, for replay on the Chamber website. We found that the ability for folks to replay some of the questions in here has been creating some networks where people can then hear the question and share that experience and reach back out to that individual and kind of bridge business to business communications in addition. The Chamber created the CARES initiative before the CARES Act. So the Chamber CARES initiative was created in immediate response to COVID-19 to be able to do three things specifically for our business community. One, to be able to put a plan in place to understand how we can support you at this time, and to understand what services or opportunities you each may have in being able to support other businesses in the community. And when I use the term business, please know that pretty much encompasses everything with perhaps the exception of a resident in a single family home, but we can even get to them through a nonprofit. So I'd say the business community at this point in time is engaged across a myriad of stakeholder communities. And today's conversation will be focused on small business. Obviously, the way the SBA is defining that is that that can be anyone under 500 employees. But we know that a lot of the folks on the call, and we're up to 19, actually we're up to 20 today, are largely going to be, I believe, retail tenants. If what you, we'd appreciate in the chat, if you could confirm the type of business that you are, so that we can make sure that the conversation is, targeted to your needs, that would be really helpful. We are presuming that the significant majority of you on this call are very much retail tenants, and most of the businesses that are in our centers. If you are not speaking, if you could please put your recording or your phone on mute, that would help eliminate some of the feedback that we're getting, and that would be much appreciated by all. Again, we are recording these, and we will make some of them available for replay. A couple quick items. We will not plan to drill down in any sort of specifics unless the questions are coming from you. What we have today is the opportunity to kind of make sure you understand tools that we have been making available and have available for you. Again, I'm going to ask people put their phones on mute, please. Or I can do it for you. And to ensure that you know that we also have some resources on the line to be able to address some specific questions. And if it is okay with everyone, I'd like to share some of those resources with you and allow each of those individuals to walk us through a very brief overview of what's happening in their world and where and how they believe their world can help you all today. So I would like to start, if I may. Am I forgetting anything, Dan, before we get started? Okay. I would like to start today with John Soares. John is with us from US Bank. I don't know if some of you have had the chance to meet him or not. I think most of you know Farzine at our local US Bank. We reached out to Farzine and John and asked if they would be willing to share an overview of CARES Act and PPE and where and how. We know that banks are going to be involved in this process in the next coming days, wanting to make sure that everyone can be as ready as possible. So John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Joanne. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for the great overview this morning, and good morning, everybody. Definitely a tough time right now, yeah, what's going on right now with US Bank? We're definitely preparing for PPP to kind of get going. I think the perception right now is that Friday is the day that banks are going to be ready to take applications. As you guys know, kind of PPP was the signature piece of the CARES Act that was kind of passed by Congress. And, you know, the government is working with the banks to kind of get money out to our small business owners to basically, you know, keep the economy going and continue to pay their employees. The features of PPP, did you want me to briefly go over those, Joanne?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just kind of reading this off of our resources page here at usbank.com, and I can get this link out to everybody. But the basic features of PPP, and once again, rules are continually changing daily, and I'll catch you know, 2 bullet points here that are incorrect that actually changed yesterday. So the features here that I have are loan amounts up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll, and selected overhead expenses not to exceed 10 million. No fees, no prepayment penalties, no business collateral or personal guarantee required. Loan forgiveness for eligible payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities during that covered first 8-week period after you get the loan. Maximum interest rate of 4% and up to a 10-year term. And actually those bullet points aren't incorrect on maximum interest rate of 4% and up to a 10-year term. But yesterday we just learned that the interest rate is going to be 0.5% and the term is going to be 2 years, right? So continually changing details. And the last bullet I have here on the feature list is payments may be deferred for up to 1 year. Let's see.
So John, quick question while you're looking for what's next. One of the hardest things for everyone is staying on top of that what is now changing. I think our businesses have done a great job of getting caught up to speed with the tools, if you will, that are available. But now what's really getting challenging is access to the resources to help do the guidance and knowing exactly which pieces of the puzzle relate to their specific business and what is changing from one day to the next. Is US Bank on top of just, you know, links to the plan? Will there be an opportunity, or may we ask that you create, if you will, a daily update or some sort of, as you learn what's changing, that gets pushed to us to be able to share with what has changed from the day before as kind of a at a glance, quick reference? Because I'm kind of looking at folks on the call. If that's something that's valuable to people, I think that, you know, perhaps now being able to stay in lockstep with the updates is going to become increasingly important.
And yeah, absolutely, Joanne, I couldn't agree. And I'll see if there is a resource that I can make available for that. And I can definitely at least work on email communication with you. Things, once again, are absolutely changing daily. But I think we're right here almost at, you know, D-Day tomorrow, right? Being that the day on Friday, the 3rd, where we're expected to be able to submit those PPP applications. The one thing that I do know at US Bank is that the process is going to be completely digital. And we have actually proactively gotten out a link to our customers, and I think I emailed you that template where our business customers and everybody on this call as well as a business owner can just jump on that link and get signed up. And as soon as that application is available, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's first thing Monday, whether it's next week sometime, you're going to have in real time that information to say, hey, we're ready to go. This is exactly what we need for the application. This is what your turn time is going to look like. And so really you just have to get on that, on that web page and get signed up and get your email address out to US Bank. And so as soon as we are ready to go and we have all the details from the government, then we can start going with the application.
So if
John,
I can interrupt there and ask a question, if I may.
Sure.
Is that process going to be the same? Obviously, you're speaking as it relates to US Bank, but is that a standardized process that's being asked and implemented across the different banks, or is each bank potentially having a different process?
Absolutely not the same. Every bank is going to have a different process. Of course, the criteria is going to be the same because it's probably going to come from the government. But right now, I think something on a high level, end that's being decided is who is doing this quote unquote underwriting piece. How are we analyzing what that payroll expense really is every month? What are we looking at? Are we looking at tax returns, right? So all of that decision on how are we doing the analysis for the approval, that's being decided, and is the SBA doing it or is the bank doing it, right? So, and if the bank is doing it, we've got to make it criteria that is straight across the board, but the process is going to be different. US Bank about a year and a half ago came up with a fully digital process for loan amounts up to $250,000, and just to kind of with the changing times, everything's digital. Everybody wants to be kind of on their app, and everybody's got a smartphone. So we came up with this nifty program, and it's worked very efficiently where we can send out a link to a customer. They can get approved for a $50,000 business loan, and a day later they can sign, or maybe the same day they can electronically sign. And that's pretty new for US Bank, well, at least in the last year or so. Before it used to be, you have to come into the branch, sit down, meet with the banker, submit your application, ask these questions. An underwriter then got to ask questions, potentially collect tax returns. So something that took maybe 3 weeks, sometimes at least over a week. And so this process now being shortened to a day, maybe a couple days at most, for these digital applications and small business loans, we're now able to use that same process for this PPP program to facilitate getting money out to our small business owners. So, we're ahead of the curve in being on top of that digital process, but not every bank is built out that way, right?
And that's the reason I asked the question. And I have to say, for those of you at US Bank, this actually sounds like a really very promising and positive thing. I know just in some other instances right now, the Secure Message Center, just to try to be able to get into the Secure Message Center or just to be able to get onto websites and download, for some of the nation's largest institutions, that is a challenge just trying to get in to try to be able to get the form or to respond. So that's really great. Does anybody have any questions for John?
So
up to what he said, there's more to come, but from what has been said to date, if not, we'll let you continue, John.
We've got a question in the chat. From Sean Pang, and John, feel free to jump in if you've got any data points for this. But Sean brings up that he's already allowed some of his employees to apply for unemployment, but is questioning whether or not to stop that process in light of the Paycheck Protection Program and what's going to be taking place now with these potential loans. Do you have any guidance or knowledge on the processes going through? Because we're now 2.5 weeks in, and a lot of people are in a similar situation where they've already allowed employees to file for unemployment. But now that this is rolled out, they're looking at this as a viable option to keep their employees employed under this loan. And you may not have anything, and that's completely fine, but I wanted to make sure the question was asked.
And we also have Alex and Luis on the phone with us as well. So, and frankly, this is how the rules go on this call. If anybody knows real answers to any of the questions, please feel free to chime in. But John, let's start with you.
Yeah, and not to be blunt about it, but I don't have an answer to that right there. I think that's an absolutely very valid and a very crucial question that needs to be answered. But unfortunately, as these details are continually changing on a day-to-day basis, I think the government realizes that in real time these things are happening. And so I think initially the intent of this program is that no one is supposed to be laid off, right? You have to preserve your employee base, and your wage income can't change by a certain percentage, right? So those details are still being finalized. I unfortunately don't have the answer to that, but I would like to defer this to Luis with HX. I would think he's probably seen this in his world also a little bit more.
I have a question too about that, about what you just said, John, if I can ask real quick about the layoff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're being told by the ED that if we don't have a return date for the employees to work, or it's not within the same pay period, which that's already gone and passed, that we need to quote unquote change their layoff from furlough to from furlough to layoff. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep our employees on furlough because we want to keep them on benefits. My biggest thing is there any repercussions to us as the employer to not follow that? Number one, and is there any repercussions to the employee to not be able to continue to get their unemployment benefits?
I think that question gets a little bit more high level than the previous one, but unfortunately I don't have the answer to that at this time. But once again, once I am off this call, I will get on the phone with one of our leaders who's in charge of kind of the PPP initiative and at least communication with US Bank, and I'll try to get some of these questions right in front of them because they are very crucial. And if there is information that we can share at this point, I'll absolutely get that back to Joanne.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Claire. The question to everyone will be this: any of the specific questions that you have that you know you can't find an answer to, I can tell you I don't know the answer, but we will get you the answers. So if you can follow up and either type it in chat, because I have figured out how to get a report out of our Zoom calls with chat. If you want to enter your specific question there, we'll pull it. Otherwise, please follow up and send us an email. Send them to Mara or myself, and we will compile a list. And what we'll do is every couple of days, we'll submit a list to our resources to do our best to get you the answers.
Okay, thank you.
Lena.
Yes.
I couldn't tell if you wanted to say something or not.
No. That was my primary. I have additional questions about the loans, but it sounds like my questions are on the second or third step of what the basics are that we kind of all have access to at this time.
Okay.
Really quick, Lewis has some things to chime in about, just so you know.
Lewis, please. Are you there?
I saw a chat popped up that said he was on mute.
Yeah, you may have to power cycle his mute on the right-hand side.
He's not on mute according to this.
Lewis, do me a favor, log out of the meeting and log back in. That should power cycle your microphone.
So while Lewis is coming back in, let me ask, because I don't know all of, are the majority of the folks on this call all from Edgewater, or are you dispersed in other locations? Because what I want to do is I do know that the Edgewater Plaza tenants did have a meeting earlier this week, and if there are some pieces of information that are germane to that, if you will, group of businesses, we'd like to do our best to address those with you, or at least understand those with you, as well as I see that a few folks have been have dialed back in that were on the call this morning but didn't speak this morning. So wanting to
Hey, Joanne.
understand why those individuals are on the call and where and how we can help. So please don't be
Hey,
bashful.
Joanne, can you hear me now?
I
This is-
can, Louis. Nice
Hey, how
to
you
hear
doing?
you.
Nice to hear you as well. Hey, guys, my name is Luis Jimenez. I work with Paychex. I'm the sales manager for the area. Just wanted to chime in on one of the things about the PPP. One of the things that was written is that we do understand that some businesses have to shut down or close their doors, and a lot of the employees have already either filed for unemployment or have been laid off completely. One of the things that's being written is that this is supposed to promote business owners being able to bring these people back into the workforce. So it's not just limited to people that are just kind of dangling in the water right now, trying to hold on. It's also if you've laid people off, you should be able to use these funds up to 250% of your payroll totals to bring them back to work. And I'm going to share this with Joanne. I can email you this. And it's called the Small Business Owner's Guide to the CARES Act. And it gives you some detailed information regarding the PPP and some of the other programs that are available to you, as well as we at Paychex have some pretty good information. There's actually this website that we have embedded in our site that basically you, as the business owner, depending on your situation, whether you have business as usual or if you're struggling right now or if you have to shut down, what programs are available to you, what loans are available to you, and what tax credits are available to you. So please feel more than free to use these resources that we have. Again, this is not, by no means is it a recommendation. The one thing that we do advise is that you bring this up to your CPAs, because there are many, many programs that are available to each and every single one of you. But unfortunately, if you're taking advantage of one of these programs, it's not like you can use one and then use another. It's one or the other. So make sure that you're getting advice from your accounting professional, from your banker, in regards to what's the best solution for you.
Luis, thank you. Are there any accounting professionals on the call with us this morning that want to lend some of their expertise to this discussion?
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no need. Why are you apologizing? That's what this is.
Because I'm the one asking all the questions. I don't want to dominate. Anybody can feel free to cut me off. Luis, you said that the PPE is designed to get employers to bring their employees back to the workforce. There's many of us on this line who are ordered by the government not to open. Nail salons, hair salons, karate lessons, things like that.
Understand. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly where you're going with this question, right? Because you're actually being closed, and how are you expected to provide wages to your employees if you're not necessarily receiving a revenue stream, right?
No, what my question was is this PPE loan, would we be able to take it and pay our employees basically not to work, but just to compensate them because, this is nobody's fault.
Correct.
And I mean, they're not working, but they're our employees. We want to give them resources. We want to keep them on with us. We want to keep them on benefits, blah, 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 blah. Can that PPE loan be used in that way?
It is my understanding that that's the purpose of it. And there are a lot of businesses that are being asked to shut down right now. But the purpose of this loan is to make sure that you keep the employees on wages. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your business is going to be operating, but that's where the tax credit, not the tax credit, the forgiveness of the loan is up to 8 weeks of payroll costs. So, I mean, if we put 2 and 2 together, if the time period where we're supposed to shelter in place goes through the 8 week period, that's supposed to cover 8 weeks worth of wages.
Well, that's really good
I don't know
news.
if you heard. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard otherwise, John, but I mean, that was my understanding.
Mine as well.
So one of the things that we've really been hearing from all of you is a need to be able to have, if you will, pro bono services, actual support to answer these specific questions that you each have. Just this morning, Roseanne Faust from Samsita joined us and let us know that this, let's just say this item that we've been championing has made its way up to the county. And at the county level, they are going to be working to create a volunteer resource network. And that is obviously something that we at the local level with the chamber have been trying to do on an as needed basis. So case in point, Alex, Luis, John, you're our network right now for authority. You know, if there is a way in which we can formalize that role with you to perhaps be streamlined, or to create a call that allows one conversation to just be a 20-minute update so they're not in a constant state. We want to work with you for that because we know that the questions and the need are going to increase. But we did want to let most of the folks know that the request for support is being heard. We also have really been doing everything we can to champion these issues at our hyper-local level. Candidly, that, you know, obviously the county has the lead as it relates to the public health and of COVID-19 and the responsibilities. But as we're very much learning, whether San Mateo County Strong, which I believe that you've learned about, a fund that has been created with initial seed money from the Board of Supervisors, you know, the 3 million or so monies that have been put into that pot, if you will, there will be a priority to the distribution of those dollars. And what we're going to find is that our local businesses are likely not going to be able to derive any benefit from those potential monies that could be seen simply as grants. So what we want you all to know is we have been doing what we can to advocate with our city council that we need to come up with a plan at an operational level for our community. And to that end, if I understand correctly, Monday night at City Council will be the first time our City Council in Foster City will have an agendized item of COVID-19 to discuss openly the impacts and the types of programs or the options that council should consider. And you should know that the chamber has been advocating on your behalf for everything from pro bono services and resources to grants to fully forgivable, you know, loans. We're asking for whatever we believe is going to be needed. I don't know what any of those decisions are going to be, but we strongly encourage you to attend or watch that meeting so that we can understand the position of our local council while we continue to do our best to leverage the resources and the different relief options that are becoming available to you. For those of you who have been really active in the questions, I ask that you keep them coming and you summarize the ones that you have, because candidly, some of you on this particular call today really are the leads. You've been digging in and you understand what is there, and you could be an amazing resource, even just kind of memorializing the process that you're going through. And I know that's difficult to consider taking on additional work right now, but it would be hugely beneficial and appreciated. John, any more comments?
Oh, I'm seeing a whole bunch of questions though popping up in the chat. Did you see that, Joanne?
So Dr. Rebecca's got a question if she would like to.
Hi. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I think one of my fears is filling out the application, because it actually seems quite easy. So I downloaded the sample form, and really all it asks is for average monthly payroll, multiplying it by 2.5, and then that's about it. And then you say no to if you're a felon or not. And all these questions.
Could I stop you right there really quick? Who do you bank with?
Wells. This is just online though. Just online.
Okay, so what I would say is that form, quite possibly could not be applicable at all to your application with Wells Fargo. Okay, so that was a form that will likely give you a general idea of some of the things that PPP will be asking through the banks. But that was a general form put out by Treasury. Why it was put out, it's confusing. We're getting completed forms completed by customers, sent into our branches and saying, hey, John, where do I submit this to? But it's going to be, once again, for example, for my customers, it's just they're getting that link, they're signing up, and as soon as that digital application is available with US Bank, they're going to get an email to get started right away. So there is no completing forms. I would advise you to talk to your banker at Wells Fargo, your branch manager, whoever you work with there, and ask them what the process will be like with Wells Fargo. It's very straightforward. Okay.
If I can just chime in, Doctor, one thing just to know, and I do apologize for what's going on right now. A lot of these legislations, and I mean, I'm getting bombarded with a lot of these questions, and we're getting on national calls every single morning because this information this law just went into place over the weekend, right? So there are so many moving pieces, and a lot of these things are changing. The application that you're seeing, I also seen it as well. I mean, from my understanding, it's all coming from the Small Business Administration, the SBA. So there you can, if you go to the SBA's website, it will give you details as to what you're going to need. Now, like John mentioned earlier, the process might be a little different as to how some banks are taking those applications, and if some banks are going to be taking those applications. So my recommendation is to, like John mentioned, just go directly to your banker and see how they're administering those applications, that they're even participating in the program. And if you find that your bank is not guiding you towards the right path, then reach out to Alex, who is the Paychex representative in the area. Reach out to John, and perhaps John, I don't know if you guys are taking clients that are not with US Bank, or is it just for your clients only?
No, absolutely. It's for anybody. Absolutely, for all small business owners.
So you don't have to bank with US Bank to apply for a loan with US Bank?
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I mean, this is, there's no red tape up here. So you can bank with, you can apply for this PPP program through whoever you do bank with. I think it's going to be a very efficient process with US Bank, but I would absolutely advise you to consult with your bank to see what their process looks like. And here's the quick comment, and a very important one: no bank is submitting an application through PPP as of today. Okay. So it's hopefully going to be happening tomorrow. Of course, if it does, the floodgates are going to be open. But once again, as of today, nothing is happening with submitted applications. So, and I know a lot of business owners are like, hey, I need to get ahead of the ball. And I think you guys all are ahead of the ball already, just by, being aware. But once again, no bank is submitting applications. So be aware of that.
What we learned this morning, just on that, what we learned this morning was that the applications for the small business will begin tomorrow, and for independent contractors on April 10th. So that's the latest. So sorry, Dr. Rebecca, back to you.
What I want to be able to do, not only for myself, but for everyone who's not here, is to be able to get an idea of what we need to be able to apply immediately. Like, I'm almost like, should I wait up until midnight to do this? Do I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning? But exactly what do we need? Because I'm hearing conflicting things of what we need to provide. So on the SBA site, it does say we need, basically what we only need is February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, our payroll. And that's what the SBA loan will be based on, multiplying, of course, by 2.5. Is that all we're going to need in terms of our information on our side to be able to apply in terms of numbers?
And once again, the short answer to that question is we don't have all the information. I know that's frustrating to keep hearing, but I think, once again, you're ahead of the ball by having that information. I think it's going to be absolutely payroll based. And so that data is going to be key to it. It's going to be strictly about payroll and proving you're a small business owner, right? So as to whether tax returns are going to be required, I just don't think they're going to make it extremely strenuous, right? And but having that piece to prove your payroll is what's going to be key to getting the funding through PPP.
Let's say, is it just being able to, for instance, contact my payroll and say, hey, because this is what I've already done. I said, give me all of my payroll, everything, like whatever contributions, taxes, everything from that date to February to June. Is that good enough?
And once again, and Dr. Rebecca, I don't have that information, right? I don't know what the application entails. So
Let me just jump in really quick here, kind of with Dr. Rebecca, what you're talking about. So I run a nonprofit, and I did the same thing. So I've pulled all my tax returns, I've pulled all my pay stubs for that time period, and I've kind of put it into a whole digital zipped file. And I've been reaching out to our specific banker, as well as some other relationships that we have, just to get it all prepped, so that when they go, yes, we're taking, I just send them the packet and I go, this is everything. And it's just ready to go. And that's kind of just how I've been approaching it, because I don't know. And like John is saying, he doesn't have all the answers yet because it's rolling information. But I think it would be the well thought out plan is like what you're talking about, is just prep everything, leave no stone unturned, because it's a bank and it's confidential and all those kinds of things. Prep it all so that whoever you do end up landing with, all you have to do is attach it and send it, and it's done. So that's just one. I just want to share that.
The additional entities, and we haven't been talking about them other than banks, another good resource could very much be credit unions. I don't know if any of the businesses here have working relationships with their credit unions, but we know that Patelco and Provident and San Mateo Credit, Stanford, and Golden One in particular have some good programs and some good resources available. So just an additional thought. But the SBA, and I can't remember who said it, the SBA is obviously creating what they believe is the standard, but the implementation will be slightly different. And I think the suggestions from Dan and from John are spot on, which is pull whatever you have available to you. The intention, I think, is largely that it is not to be cumbersome, because there's no time to review all of these things. So if we look at the logic of trying to get relief to a business, presumably the qualification process, if you will, should be fairly simple, but we know that that's not necessarily the case.
One more thing before, Lena, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I don't know why I unmuted. I'm good.
Okay. No problem. I just wanted to share with all of you another concept to think about as well. Joanne and I are constantly on the phone with people trying to gather new information and reach out to new professionals. And Louis, you may be able to jump in on this as well. I just got off the phone with a insurance specialist this morning, and I thought I would share the information with all of you. Technically, because of this current situation and what's happening, a lot of people, myself included, have employees who are just not working, period, at all. And if they are working, their job has shifted into an at-home position. And so I'm telling you all this because in the conversations with the insurance agent, a broker that we have, we're exploring the workers' comp reclassification option for our companies, because technically a lot of our employees are now becoming clerical rather than anything else. So I would encourage everybody as well, from the conversations I had today, reach out to your insurance broker, insurance agents, and just start having a conversation about that. I have no validity to it. It's just a concept that we explored this morning.
Hey, Dan, I like to kind of chime in on that as well, because
yeah, go for it.
And I understand that there are a lot of businesses that are in different places right now, right? Some of you unfortunately may have to close their doors, some of you have to lay people off, and some of you have transitioned over to a virtual environment, just like us, right? Here at Paychex, we transitioned 15,000 employees to full virtual over the last 2 weeks. So one thing to keep in mind is that it's now more important than ever to have very, very specific job descriptions, because for those of you that have employees that that have responsibilities that they have to continue to do, right? That the environment is a lot different. And this is when HR is extremely, extremely important. And one thing that we're doing here at Paychex is that we're able to assist with that. I mean, we have online HR libraries for our existing clients. So if some people need a little bit more of an HR guidance and perhaps you're not with our services, I mean, it's a great opportunity to talk to Alex and discuss those, because there's definitely a lot of things that might change. So from the workers' comp side, I mean, if that's the case, then I mean, HR is important as well, especially if you're moving to that virtual environment.
Luis, I'm going to ask a question, and it doesn't necessarily need an answer right now, but I wouldn't be me if I didn't. So those online HR libraries are probably a huge value right now to a lot of people. Is there a way that even for but a week, we could make them temporarily available to our Foster City businesses?
Let me check in on that. From what I know, this is what it is. It's a subscription to HR 360, which is an HR library that comes with our payroll subscription to Paychex Flex. I'm going to try to see if there's something available that we can do for our clients. But if you guys aren't any clients, if you guys aren't with Paychex right now, maybe reach out to Alex individually and let's see what we can do for you guys. But if you are a current client and you have questions about how to access the HR library, let us know, and then we'll make sure that we have your specialist reach out to you and guide you on how to do that.
Okay.
Really quick, Louis or John, I don't know if either one of you can answer this question. Danny and Teresa from the Bay Studio over at Beach Park have a question about, would the PPP cover any independent contractors?
So the application, sorry, I think Joanne just mentioned it, that the guideline is saying there's contractors are going to be eligible to apply. I'm trying to look for the exact date, but I believe it's in a couple of weeks.
April 10th.
There you go.
So yes, there will be.
Thank you.
And presumably following suit with, yet some additional rules. How are we doing on chat, Dan? More questions?
Go ahead.
Are we going to spend any time discussing what type of resources we might have to work with our landlords at all, or is that a different meeting?
We are here to discuss anything that you want. So if we think that we've rounded out on this last set of topics, I'm happy for us to move on to some new ones with you all. So go ahead, Lena.
I was just, I think that I don't know for other people's landlords, but in our shopping center, I really have this gut feeling that we're going to need the help of the government, whether it be, city, county. I'm not sure how that works. Not versed in local government at all, but I'm wondering who do we need to work with, or how do we activate some sort of support system from that side to get the resources and help that we need?
So from the Chamber's perspective, the Chamber has always been a partner to businesses to do our best to work with you directly with the management companies, with owners, et cetera.
Yeah.
In the case of certain particular of the centers, we know the management and owners are more challenging than others.
Okay.
This concern in particular, I believe for the center that you're in, has been expressed from a few, and is one of the issues that I have already raised to our city council.
Okay, cool.
I have said that we, the Chamber, can do what we are capable of doing, which is, the skills of business negotiation, et cetera, be your ambassador, be an advocate, and some of you have experienced working directly with us in less than ideal circumstances previously, so you know our capabilities there. But we know that in particular instances that we are going to need more help. And whether that be something that happens by virtue of an ordinance, I know that we are championing, obviously to prevent any sort of commercial eviction, but that's insufficient to the ongoing need to pay without any relief or accommodation. And so if what I have asked of the city is we have demonstrated to them the need that there is the potential to have a fund at the local level available to our businesses for, key and critical services. But I've also invited them to work directly with us and to consider that on behalf of tenants in a particular center, such as Edgewater, that there may be huge benefit not only to the tenants to understand and aggregate the priority of the asks of that management and owner, but to sit at the table as the city and the chamber to make those requests, each of us having a different ability to affect that discussion. At this point, Lena, that is the most I've been able to do. Today is Thursday. That conversation occurred yesterday. And Monday night is the city council meeting where, if you will, a more open discussion about what is the role, what role can the city, capital C city, play. As you know, today the city is predominantly focused on the public health, and there is a shelter in place. We are challenging that the definition of essential services may need to be modified to be able to support the needs of our community. And we began that conversation with them yesterday. And I would like to think that Monday night, the liaisons to that conversation, Vice Mayor Gihani and Council Member Hindi, will be the advocates from the dais. That's the best answer I have for you right now on what, quote, local government can provide. We've made the ask, but what your chamber is willing to do is to spend time with you and the tenants to understand if there are 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever the points of ask are, and to do our best to reach out to that team. And that's no different than what we would do in any other scenario. Did I lose her? I think I lost her.
Yes, she dropped off the call.
Okay. Are any of the other tenants who were a part of that conversation able to, does the answer that was just provided satisfy some of the questions or the discussions that you had related to that?
Well, we all know how difficult Edgewater is and how they really don't support us as their tenants.
I mean, it's easier to talk to them through attorneys, which we've had to do.
We've had to do that.
For various reasons, because we don't get any support.
No.
And from what the other tenants have shared with us, everyone's getting a different story. They're offering maybe a 25% deferral
50 to 75.
to 75
So it's all over the
deferral, but
place.
it's not rent relief. I mean, at this time, state of an emergency, we feel that everyone should share the burden, but we're not getting that at all. So,
So what they want to do for some people, they said, well, we could defer it, but then there's interest in that. Interest doesn't help anybody.
Okay. It looks like Lena is back. There are so many boxes.
I'm sorry. I'm back. I lost connectivity for a second, but I did hear, I think I heard most of the answer, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
We can talk offline about it in more detail, Lena, so we can do that immediately following if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. We are coming up with about 5 more minutes. We're happy to be here for as long as we need to be, but in those next, if we needed to go over, but are there any additional questions, or what can we do? I mean, we're doing our best to just simply be here, but how can we help? What more can we do for you?
Hey, Joanne, I'd just like to quickly mention that if you are a current Paychex client and unfortunately you're not reporting any payroll because you had to either lay off some employees and you're seeing that for the foreseeable future, please let us know, and we're going to be waiving your monthly minimum billing for at least 3 months to help you guys out. So if you are a current Paychex client and you're looking for some relief in that sense, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to assist with that. And if you are interested in coming on board over to Paychex, we'd be more than happy to help you guys out. We have some great programs to assist any clients that are looking to come onto our services.
Great. John?
Well, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you to all the business owners on here, and thank you for what you do every day, and for supporting the economy, and for continuing to fight through during these tough times. I'm here as your banker, local banker. My office is out of San Carlos, and I cover quite a few offices here in the peninsula, down from Burlingame to Menlo Park. So, you know, Joanne has my information if anybody wants to reach out to me for any clarification. Any of the programs, I know I gave a lot of, like a broken record. I don't have more information on PPP, but you know, I think that U.S. Bank is being very proactive about, you know, getting at least the message out there, getting the link out there to our customers. And once again, with that digital process, I think it's going to be super efficient. You don't have to be a customer to take advantage of PPP. This is, once again, your privilege as a small business owner out here. So take advantage. And once again, happy to be here as a resource for any questions and banking related.
Thanks very much. Just to double back, any questions you have, please shoot them to us in an email. Do take a few minutes to look at the Chamber's homepage to see if it's jumping to the resources that you need. We're not just trying to create a page just so we look busy. We really are trying to make sure that the links are taking you to the sources of content that are most usable for you. For information from John and Luis, Mara has been doing an amazing communication tool with respect to kind of member, if you will, programs and options. If we have not received those already from you, please pull together, you know, what it is that we can communicate out, and we will push that out through our channels for you. So Luis, in the context of if there is, you know, if they sign up as a new client, that they are going to get, you know, X% off, or whatever your opportunities are. I mean, we're still doing what we can to put the spotlight on each of you as our members and our businesses. And that goes, I suppose, as the final remark to everyone. You know, if there are things that you're doing, if you are still in operation and you need additional spotlight and support, let us know what you're doing. If you have adaptive services, if you have different ways in which you are offering your services, let us know. We'll create something, put the spotlight on you, and push you out through our social media channels. I don't think our communication has ever been stronger. And we hope that you are all connected to it and doing what you can to share it for us and with each other. But it's not intended to be pretty. It's intended to be substantive. So if we are not hitting the right mark for you, we need your help helping us redirect. Shirley.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Great. Thank you.
All right. We'll be in touch.
Take care. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
And just as a wrap
you
up
so
really
much.
quick, thank you everybody who came. Thank you, John. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, everybody. We'll send up a follow-up with more information and contact like Joanne's talking about, but please use our website and our email if you need us.
Thank you.
I
Bye,
came into this
everyone.
late. Are you sending the recording out through email?
It's actually posted. It will, we're not posting all of them, but we have been posting a few of them as replays on the homepage at the website.
Okay. Hi, Joanne. Sorry.
I'm like, wait, who's talking? Where are you?
I know it's Paulette Hammock. I joined very late. I forgot earlier on, and then I got distracted. So I'm like, oh God, I'm joining last second. But I would love to listen to what you guys talked about earlier.
Well, there's a call at noon for nonprofits, but we'll cover a lot of the main overview information. So if you want to join us at noon, please feel free to do so.
Okay, I'll do that and see. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I don't
great.
know what my business is considered. If it is a service, but it's optical goods. So I don't know what that falls under.
Well, right now we're hosting different forums, Paulette. So I'd suggest just attending. And if you ask questions that are not necessarily related to nonprofit, we can at least get the questions and get them answered, and you can derive the benefit from some of just the general program overviews.
Great. I would love to get this recording to hear what you guys said before I got on.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.